Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anchor and Sin podcast with me, your host, Angela Papa. Okay, so as you can see, we are in a new little studio setup in a little corner of my apartment. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, then you can't see the differences. But if you do want to see the differences, head over to YouTube to see them. I wanted to change it up because I am moving the energy behind this podcast, behind this YouTube channel, to being more like you're sitting down on the couch with your bestie, with a tea, a glass of wine, cacao, whatever your choice is, and we are talking about the secrets of the universe. We are talking about healing. We are talking about transformation. And in this conversation with your bestie, you are having aha moments. You are being inspired. You are learning something. So that is the vision behind this new little couch cozy setup. Now today, while we are getting a little more personal, I am going to be pulling back the curtain on my own journey of evolution, of healing, of transformation. I'm going to share a little bit about my story of how I got to where I am today, of what I used to struggle with, how I felt there was no out, and what I did to liberate myself, to heal myself, and to pull back the curtain on the behind the scenes of the healing and transformation process. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start when I was about a teenager. I really struggled with depression. And looking back now, I'm realizing I had mental health issues. I had so many feelings that I didn't know how to feel that I would self-harm to have an outlet. And, I really wanted to get actual professional help, and that was just not an option for me due to family reasons. So I was a teenager crying out for help, a teenager who didn't know how to feel her emotions, and the belief that came in from having no outlet, having no support to really feel and work through these heavy emotions, work through this depression that I was feeling at the time, was I would just shut it all down. I would dissociate. I would shove my feelings down. I just wouldn't feel. I would numb out. And that continued to go on through high school. That continued to go on through college. And then once I got to college, I didn't want to be the depressed girl anymore. I didn't want to be the girl that sits in the corner and doesn't really have friends and doesn't really do anything fun because she's so depressed and she's just so checked out. I wanted to have fun, right? So I thought the way to get out of the depression was to turn to partying. And I opened up more. Yeah, I made more friends. Yeah, I was more talkative. But it was another way of disassociating. It was another way of numbing. And I ended up getting to my own breaking point, where I just wouldn't have, life was showing me that, if I continue down this path, I will no longer have a life. I will get so self-destructive that something bad will happen to me. I had a couple moments where my life was saved, physically, from my actions and from my habits. So I got to this point of rock bottom. And at this point of rock bottom, I thought, there's no helping me. I can't go much lower than this. I've never dealt with this my whole life. I don't even know the first way to start dealing with this. This is just how life is going to be. I'm always going to struggle with depression and then addiction issues, and I just thought this was it, right? And then it was like God, it was like the universe, it was like Source heard me. And spirituality found me. And the path of spiritual healing found me. And the path of doing things like breathwork found me. And I didn't go searching for them. They found me. And things like astrology found me. And I was saved. I was saved. By now, the exact healing and transformation process I help other people through, I was saved by it. And, the first part of that was astrology. When I first had my astrology chart read for me, for the first time in my entire life, I felt seen. I felt understood. All the parts of myself that I was told was too much and that didn't make sense and I need to change were actually turns out to be some of my greatest and biggest gifts. And I finally saw my purpose in this lifetime. I finally saw the bigger picture of my life. I finally saw me. And that continued to go down, and, I want to get through this part a little fast, right? Because I want to get to how this applies to you and how the takeaways from this. But I finally started to feel like myself again. In a moment of time where I didn't even know what feeling like myself felt like anymore. And I went down the path, right? I went down the spiritual path. I went down the spiritual awakening path, right? I started to really dive into not only my own healing, I started to dive into spiritual texts. I started to dive into the true nature of our reality. I started to dive more into astrology, more into soul work, more into why we are incarnated in this time. I just dove deep into all of it. And then there were still parts of my own healing journey, though, that from me diving into just the spiritual part of it, I found a new way to dissociate, if that makes sense, right? Yeah, I was nowhere near where I used to be, right? Like, the heavy depression was gone. Like, the not wanting to live was gone, right? The self-destruction was gone. I was happier. I was definitely on the correct track. I have turned my life around, right? But I was almost disassociating by going into the deep end of all things spirituality and all things, looking into spirit guides and starseeds and everything. And I still love all these things, but it was a way of dissociating. Until at this point, now I'm starting to have physical symptoms of, okay, there's still this trauma you haven't looked at. Okay, there's still 20 years of emotions shoved down and they're living in your body. And I started to have really serious physical symptoms that I first went the medical route, right? I went to doctors to help me with it. They couldn't figure it out. So what it was every time I peed, it would feel like I was peeing out razor blades. It wasn't a UTI. I mean, I took UTI medicine after UTI medicine after UTI medicine. I went and got my urethra opened in surgery a couple times. They're thinking maybe my urethra's too small. And I went to specialists and this and that. And it was to the point where I couldn't go to the bathroom without profusely crying, because that's how much pain I was in. So these are some pretty serious physical symptoms my body was showing me. And then I found breathwork, right? That found me when I needed it. And I started to do it a lot. After the first time of doing my first breathwork session, I felt this sense of peace and this sense of openness that I've never felt in my life. And then lo and behold, during one of these sessions, I had to go and pee really bad. And it was the first time that I didn't cry in probably 5 years. And I remember sitting there on the toilet, like, what? No way. Like, I didn't even remember what it felt like to have a normal pee at that point. Isn't that freaking crazy? So then I started to go down the path of learning about how the body holds on to emotions, of learning how the body holds on to traumas, of learning how the body holds on to everything that we've shoved down at one point because we don't have the time to feel it. It lives in the body. And then that creates blockages, that creates tension. It calcifies in the body and then can actually cause disease. I was on the way there. Until I found breathwork and until I finally gave my body the okay to not only feel them as they come up and out, but to heal them and to release them and to alchemize them. And that right there changed my life dramatically. And here I am today, right? Here I am today, living this life that I couldn't have even, it wasn't even like in my wheelhouse to even maybe think that where I'm living today would be a possibility. It wasn't. But there was moments where right when I could have went down a deep, dark road, the healing modalities, the teachers, the wisdom, they found me. And now I definitely take a more integrated approach where I combine the spirituality, I combine universal truths, I combine working with spirit guides and working with deities, and I combine that with body-based healing, with nervous system healing, with bringing it back into the body, right? And I share this story to show you that the initiation into your own highest self, into your own liberated self, into the person that you've always wanted to become, it's raw. It's messy. It's ugly. I didn't want to live at some points, right? Then when I was going through the healing, oh my God, there were so many moments I was just rolling around on the floor and crying and punching pillows and screaming into pillows and just like, screaming into the fucking void of just how much shit I had in me that I've never let myself look or feel or just process. And it was messy. And then there was also moments where I held my hand over my heart and I cried happy tears. Like, thank God this path found me. Thank God everything that I went through in my life happened, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. And I found this piece of deep joy and reverence and gratitude for my life and for where I am and for everything that's happened. And if you would have told that to me 15 years ago, I would have been like, you're crazy. That's never happening, right? So I share this to pull back the curtain on somebody that is now a healer, that is now a transformational coach, that I now help my clients through this exact thing. I went through it myself first. I only teach and help and hold through what I've been through myself. So I know what it's like to want to give up. I know what it's like to feel like maybe I'm just born this way and this is just the cards that I've been dealt. I know what it feels like when the last thing you want to do is to do that healing ritual or to journal or to do the breath work or to meditate. It's the last thing you want to do. You want to stay stuck in your own thoughts. Don't want to do it, but you do it anyway. I know what that's like because I've been there myself. And if you ever find a healer or a coach or a mentor that pretends like, that tells you that they haven't been through this and they're not still healing, run for the freaking hills, because they're bullshit. They're not real. They're not a true healer, right? Everybody that is in this work, that is going to change people's lives with this work has been through with them fucking selves and have taken them through themselves through the fires of transformation. But so many people shy away from it. So many people shy away from even starting. And yeah, it's intense. I get it. But the devotion and the commitment to yourself, to your most happiest, abundant, magnetic, just in love with your life, right? Like whatever adjective you want to fucking put in there, whatever you want to live, right? Whatever life you want to live for yourself. You need to be able to look at your darkness in the fucking face. To look at your shadows in the face. To feel the ugly things that you never allowed yourself time or space to feel. Because that is how you free yourself. That is your ticket to your liberation. And the more and more you resist it, the farther and farther and farther you cement yourself in the reality where you're stuck. Right? And yeah, it's intense, but it's also fun. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? It's such a cliche. It's like probably on someone's coffee mug or something. So cliche, but it's true, especially in this scenario. It isn't about the destination of where you get to the apex of the person you've always wanted to become, or the happiest, so you have the relationship, the job, the home, the life, whatever, the business, whatever it is for you. It's about the journey of how you got there. It's about the journey of how you've liberated yourself. It's about the journey of how you've healed. Because that is when you learn the most about yourself. That is when you have some of the most unforgettable experiences of your life. I met my soul. I met God in the moments when I was crying on the floor, shaking my fist. Where I finally surrendered it all and gave it all up. Those cracks brought more of my soul light in. And those are some of the most beautiful moments in my life. And those are also the moments where I created a really deep relationship with myself. And that relationship with myself is my anchor of moving forward, even when times have gotten tough. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, it's just you and you. So why would you continue to give into patterns or actions or thoughts or whatever that's keeping you stuck instead of allowing yourself to be liberated? And it's not linear, it's a cyclical journey. So yes, there will be I call it almost like the first removal of the gunk. So when I first went through my awakening and healing journey that I explained the first round, because that was just my first initiation into this path. When I went through that first round, I call that was the first removing of the gunk, right? It doesn't mean that I'm still not healing. It doesn't mean that things still don't come up for me. Exact specific things that I healed in that time. That doesn't mean that still doesn't come up. Is it as intense? Is it as deep? Is it as this needs to change right now and my life is going to end? No. Right? It's still shreds of it continues to come up from time to time. And then new things come up, right? When you remove the first layer of gunk, there's something else beneath that needs to be looked at, right? So it's about the layers. It's about the cyclical nature of the healing and the transformational process. But as you pull away the layers of the gunk, or we can say it's as you peel back the layers of the onion, you are getting closer and closer and closer to your true self, to your essence, to your light, to who you are behind all the stories, to who you are behind all what happened to you and the traumas and the emotions and the who your parents think you should be and who society thinks you should be and and all the masks that you wear on the world. No. So this process, yes, it's about the becoming, but before it's about the becoming, it's also about the unraveling. Unlearning everything that you thought you knew, and that's like the spiritual part, right? But right now we're just talking about the healing and transformation part, and unraveling everything that you thought about yourself, right? All the times you told yourself you weren't worthy, you're not lovable, you're not good enough, you're stuck in this, and learning and unraveling and learning and unraveling and coming back to the truth of who you are. And when you learn and you look at yourself in the eyes with the truth of who you are, of course you're worthy. Of course you're lovable. It's not even a fucking question if you are anymore. Isn't that worth it? Listen, I don't know one person on this fucking planet Earth that has not dealt with self-worth issues before. So if you're telling me that you haven't, I don't believe you. So then let's just look at the self-worth thing. Wouldn't it be fucking great if you struggle with that to not have to struggle with that anymore? Sabina will come up from time to time, but at least you have the tools and the ways that you hold yourself to move through it. Oh my God. If someone told me that, then I really needed to hear it in the beginning, I'd be like, sign me up, what do I do? You have to be willing. You have to be willing to go down that path, though. And that path isn't supposed to be alone either. I had support when I really started to go down this path. I had mentors. I had a support system. Yeah, I learned a lot and held myself through a lot, but I had a support system. So you're not supposed to go through this alone. You're not. Let me see if there's anything else, because I wrote down some little tidbits. Okay. I just want to bring it back real quick to the intention behind this episode is for you to feel the energetic resonance if the initiatory path is for you. And the initiatory path is a path of someone that is unafraid to look at their darkness, who is going to let themselves heal, that is going to hold themselves, that's going to go through transformation to become the person that they've always been meant to become and who you came on this planet to be. And to step into your path, to step into your purpose. And yes, I highlighted the very real part of how this all begins. I was not sugarcoating how this path opens up for you and how you begin to walk down it. But it is so worth it. It is so worth it. And you will feel an energetic resonance if this path is for you. If you are ready to liberate the fuck out of yourself. I never knew it was for me. Life quite literally went, no more. You can no longer go down this path. And it opened up a door for me to go down. And maybe that's what's happening for you right now. Maybe you stumbled across this podcast. Maybe you stumbled across this video. And if you did, thank God. And I'm so grateful that you did. Let's start the healing journey. And if you've already been down this journey, you've already been down the path of, your own initiation and your own transformation and your own healing and your own spirituality, this is to show you that the journey is ongoing. And there is to always uncover more and different parts of yourself. Like, for instance, recently, my body symptoms, like with the pee thing, they started happening again. And now I know when that happens, there is something I'm not allowing myself to feel. There's something I'm voiding in my life. So what do? I do the breath work. Even when I really don't want to do it. I even resist it sometimes too as an actual breath work facilitator. I'm human. I do the journaling. I take myself through all my healing modalities that I know and that are tried and true for me. And then as soon as I do that, symptoms go away. Right? So it's an ongoing journey, and it's an ongoing commitment to yourself, because this is how we free ourselves. It's an ongoing commitment to your highest timeline, the best version of yourself you can be, your most happiest life. Like, it's not out of reach for you to become this highest version of yourself. And if you're already on the path, keep going and don't get disencouraged or beat down if things come up for multiple rounds of healing, because I still go through it, my clients still go through it, my colleagues still go through it. Again, it's a journey. It's not linear. But now I've gotten to the point where, like, I have fun with this. Like, when I'm going through a healing portal, like, I just recently came out of one. Honestly, I've been through so many this year, actually. I know the signs and the signals from my body and from life, and I'm like, all right, guess we're going in. And, like, I have fun with it now. Like, I have fun turning my apartment into a little healing portal with the candles and the incense, and then pulling out the journals, and then breath work and meditation. And I also have a mentor that helps me through certain things. Like, I love it because I know now, because I've already done the first, like, removal of the gunk, I know now anytime another healing portal presents itself and it's like, okay, like, the symptoms or something happens and, like, there's something that needs to be looked at right now, I know that's happening because there's another level of expansion waiting for me on the other end of that healing portal. So even though sometimes I resist it because I'm like, ugh, I don't really have time for this right now. Once I'm in it, because I do sometimes resist it because, as humans, we're like, I don't have time. We make up all the fucking excuses. Once I'm in the portal and I'm doing the work, I'm like, oh, it feels so good. It feels so good to uncover another layer of myself. It feels so good to see myself in a whole nother way. It feels so good to return back to my essence in a whole new way, to uncover a new part of my journey, a new part of my purpose, a new part of who I am. So it's all about your perception of it, right? And also, it's okay when you resist it. Just know that if you're resisting it, it means it's going to help you. It means it's your ticket to your next level of expansion. So I hope that this episode, was able to let you see into my past, into my why I do this. I quite literally turned my pain into my power, into my gold, into my purpose. When I read my astrology chart, it was very clear, like, I'm meant to be doing this. And that's why I had to go through and really intense, not childhood, but more teenage years and everything. I had to go through that really intensely to pick myself out of that and to alchemize myself out of that. But it is my passion. It is my deepest passion to now hold others through that. So if you are looking for support, if you are just starting this journey, or maybe you've already started and you feel like you take like 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, or there's some things you can't quite access, and like there's this, you really want to like become this version of yourself, and you just can't really quite access this version of yourself, keep going. And I have a link in the show notes to book a complimentary session with me where we will talk about where you want to go, where you currently are, and how I can support you in that. There's also a link in the show notes to book an astrology reading with me. Astrology was huge in me really being able to see myself in my path for the first time ever. And then there's a breathwork session link as well. And that is, I mean, the breathwork obviously changed my life, but breathwork will be great if you are looking for nervous system support, if you're looking to help remove and feel and release and alchemize all the stuck emotions, traumas, whatever it may be in your body, especially if you might be noticing physical tension or pain that you think might be emotional related, which it probably is. A breathwork session would be amazing. And if you don't know really where to start, book the complimentary session with me and we can talk about the best way to support you. Thank you so much for being here in this episode, and I will see you in the next one.